I'm Bethan and welcome to Ginger Welsh Allotments. I've just popped over to the plot predominantly to bring my peelings over for the compost heap, and I thought while I was here I'd do a small shout out to the people that I've been watching lately who I have found through other people giving them a shout out. So the first one, I'll have a look at my notes now, is A Little Dirt Never Hurt. I've only watched one of his so far, but I found him really entertaining and he was making some butternut squash. So I thought, I found him really funny. So please check him out, A Little Dirt Never Hurt. The next one is AJ's allotment. And AJ gave me a lovely shout out the other day. So I'm now reciprocating, and she has loads of knowledge about what she's doing. She's been doing it for years and she is very succinct with how she puts things. She doesn't waffle on for ages like I'm doing now. The next one is Amanda's allotment, and she's nearly at the 1k mark, so please go over and check out Amanda's allotment. Another one that I found very interesting is London Worms and Garden. He's recently got his allotment and there's an awful lot of work he needs to do on it. So it'll be really interesting to see what he's doing with his new allotment over the coming months. And finally, the last one is Nick's Allotment Diary, which is NICK''S, and I'll put all these in the description below. And I've really enjoyed watching him as well. And I'll get on now with putting my compost peelings in the bin, and then I'll show you what little progress I've made over here. This is a giant pumpkin which started to rot in my greenhouse. I'd stored them in my small greenhouse over winter, and when I checked them all yesterday I found that this one had started to rot. And the reason I was checking them all was because I know pumpkins don't keep as long as squashes, and I thought the ones that I could save I've chopped up and put in my freezer. So now my freezer is chock-a-block full of pumpkin and butternut squash, and this one is now going to be chock-a-block in my compost heap. Here is my compost heap. It's slowly getting fuller and fuller, but I do need to turn it soon. My spring cabbages and Swiss chard are doing okay in this bed, and the cabbages I transplanted the other day, they seem to have taken okay as well. So that's all good news. This is my purple sprouting broccoli, which is neither purple nor sprouting. Hopefully we'll have something on there soon. My rhubarb patch is beginning to come back into existence. There's a couple of pink bits showing through now. So hopefully they'll come back okay, and I'll have a lovely lot of rhubarb crumble and rhubarb wine this year. And I've been working on clearing this patch ready for my raspberries to go in this side and my trees that I had just before Christmas to go in down here. And I was hoping to have got all of this turned before I went away tomorrow, but obviously that's not going to happen now, as we had snow this week and we've had rain this week, so the ground is a bit too wet to turn. My existing plum tree, I put the surrounding and manured around, but I left the base unmanured just so that it didn't rot. And the other patch of earth I've turned is just next to my shed, where I'll be putting my grapevine, so there'll be sort of like a structure going up and over there. And that's all I've done. I was hoping to have got more done. And last time I was over here, I was showing you how untidy my shed is. and it's actually got worse. I show you. I can now hardly get in it because I've got a load of cardboard. My neighbour gave me a load of cardboard for my raised beds whenever I get round to putting them in. So I'm really happy about that. It just means the shed's a bit chock-a-block at the moment. But it'll get sorted out when I get round to putting in the raised beds. And speaking of which, I did manage to get hold of some pallets this week. So I should be able to put a bit more definition into my plot, because I was going to put in a load of raised beds, but now I think it's just going to be elevated slightly, and I'm just going to use the wood pallets, the pallets from the wood, to just make the surrounds, because it's free and I like free things. We'll head home and I'll show you the pile of pallets I've got and the other seedlings I've got on the go. I'm now outside my greenhouse and I shall show you what I've got growing inside. So yesterday I pricked out some marigolds, stocks and teasel. I probably would have waited until next week, until the true leaves had got a bit bigger, but I won't be here next week, so I did it this week. And they all seem to have taken well, and one of these is destined for my neighbour Jess, so hopefully they'll grow well for both of us. I've put my leeks towards the back there because I feared they might have been a bit too hot in my house, and as we're still having snow, I was worried that the ground wouldn't be warm enough when they were ready to go in the ground. And similarly, my onions, my Elsa Craig white onions, are the same. They've come on very well indoors, so I decided that I'd now bring them out into the greenhouse so that they could grow a little bit slower possibly. I hope I don't kill them, but here we are, we'll just have to see. Here are the raspberry plants that I was telling you about, that I'd started to clear the ground over on the allotment, and hopefully they'll be going in the ground soon so I can have more growing space in here, as I've got a few things to plant in February. Those are my grapevine cuttings that I took last year, and I'm not sure if they're any good. And these two are the last now of my squashes and pumpkins. This pumpkin I'm going to take for my mum when I go and visit her tomorrow, and the squash I'm going to leave for a bit as it seems to be okay, and I haven't got any more room in my freezer to cut it up anyway. I've never really planted flowers before, but I did plant some bulbs back in September, October time, and they're beginning to come up. So I think these are crocuses. I did actually think I'd planted snowdrops there, but they look like crocus to me. Got a couple more growing back there, a couple more growing back there. I'm hoping to take some rose cuttings from this bush at some point this year, so that I can start a rose patch over the allotment. And down here is a snowdrop. So at least something's come out. Those are going to be tulips, I believe, and there's some cyclamens along here, and more narcissi, which I think are daffodils. Here's what I have growing in the propagator. The aubergines are doing okay. I planted 8 and 8 have come up. And the tomatoes are doing well, but they are getting a bit leggy. So when they get their true leaves on them, and for people who don't know what true leaves are, I can't really show you on this tomato because none of them have true leaves. But these leaves here are not actually the proper leaves, so to speak. There'll be another couple of leaves growing out from here and here, and once you see them, you know that it's okay to pot your tomatoes on. So I'm going to leave them in the propagator for the week I'm away, and then they should probably be ready by the time I get back. Here is the same basil, parsley and coriander I've had on the go for quite some time. And I brought my sweet peas in from outside. They were in the greenhouse, and where they're missing some, I've planted some more sweet peas that I had free in a magazine. Now I can show you on here what I was talking about for those who don't know about the true leaves. So if you see, this one's got the 4 leaves. Well, the leaf I'm touching now is sort of like the beginning leaf, so to speak, and then it's beginning to get its true leaves either side. So in theory I could also pot them on, but because they're very small, I wanted to leave them to grow a bit longer, and that's the Elysium. And the busy lizzies have come up as well, but it's the same with them. They haven't got their true leaves, so I'll leave them alone. The marigolds have gone out of this end pouch, but there are tiny seedlings of lobelia there, but nothing on the salvia. Nothing doing on the mint or chive. And now I'm not sure how to pronounce this. That's how it's spelt. Antirrhum. So I think they're commonly known as snapdragons, but I could be wrong. But I'm going to just say it's that whatever it is. Nothing growing on the hellebores, but apparently germination on them can take up to 18 months, which I kind of wish I'd known before I planted them in here. I'd have planted them in maybe a pot like that was a bit more smaller to go in my greenhouse. And here I have one sad little begonia, and the teasel has gone from there. Here is the pile of pallets, and when we have a nice day and the children can run around the garden, I shall spend a lot of time breaking down those pallets. So I was really pleased to get hold of these pallets because I like to recycle things, and I also like to have things for free if I possibly can. And as I've mentioned before, we're not sure if we're going to stay around this area for a long time, so I didn't want to spend an awful lot of money on wood for the beds if I wasn't going to get the investment back, if that makes sense to you. So these will do for now. I know they'll rot pretty quick, but they should be all right for 2 to 3 years, and then we'll assess the situation then. One last thing I wanted to show you was my bird table and bird feeders. As I mentioned in my last vlog, or the vlog before, my husband bought me this for Christmas, and since we've put up those bird feeders, we've had loads and loads of birds in the garden that I've never seen in our garden before. All different kinds, all different shapes. It's lovely. Every time I look out of my kitchen window, there's a different bird out here. So I'm really pleased about that. So all I can say about that is, lovely job!